Is it true that women only like men who are over 6 feet tall, earning over 100,000 a year, and have six-pack abs? Well, that's what they try to tell us using the Tinder stats, and I call bullshit on that because if you give women a catalog of guys to look at, we're going to pick the hunks, okay? Me included. But the whole Tinder thing is a fabrication of modern society that only existed for the past 20 years, even though human existence and relationships have formed since prehistoric times, millions of years, thousands of years, depending on whether you believe the Bible or not. And the interesting thing you have to keep in mind is that none of these dating sites publish their relationship or marriage statistics. If it was a good selling point, they would. The reason they're not publishing them is because they're a freaking waste of time and they're superficial. They don't lead to that many actual relationships. And the only people who score on there are women looking for a quick fuck and guys who look like models. So all of you guys out there who think that you have no chance because of the Tinder stats, you're not tall enough, this video is for you. I'm going to give you some hope. I'm going to give you some hope, and also because this is straight talk, and I don't like misleading statistics. Now, I'm not a statistician, I just have a little common sense. So, first of all, the Match Group owns the majority of the dating apps, and if they were in fact so successful at predicting who would couple up and get married, they would publish their statistic. But the fact of it is that even dating and relationship and attraction researchers still don't know what attracts two people to each other. Attractiveness is certainly a factor. So I'm going to break down into a few of these things. First of all, when it comes to attraction, that the majority of men are unattractive on the basis of their looks. Let's get honest. Why? Well, you don't wear makeup, you don't pay attention to your clothing, you don't work out, and if you're a gay man, the chances are you're very attractive. So straight men have a huge gap in realizing how to put themselves together, how to take good pictures, and how to market themselves online. Like, you guys just suck at it, okay? So unless you want to primp like a gay guy, which would be helpful and get a lot of women to look at you, you're not gonna do very well in the looks department. But the good news is that looks aren't everything, which I'll get to in a second. Since women do prawn, look, I blow dried my hair, I got my nails done today, I get my massages, I get my hair colored, I put on some lipstick, and I look pretty good right now. I'm wearing like some nice clothing, you know. I take my cod liver oil so my skin is soft, and that's what women do. I have a bra on, you know, I pay attention to my figure. A lot of guys don't give a shit. And because women do all these things, and women also do plastic surgery and other things, we're just more attractive. So, and I think we make ourselves pretty for men, because if you look at lesbian women on Match.com, 99% of them are very ugly, because the only people who are attractive are people who like men. Straight women and gay men are the most attractive, because we are making ourselves attractive for men. So the reason most men are unattractive is because they don't give a shit. Okay? That's it. Now, the good news is attraction isn't everything. Let's look at height. Well, attraction is something you can change, but unless you look like a calendar model, your online profile isn't going to impress that many people, me included. Now, if it is true that only the most attractive men get women, the most attractive men, by the way, different women have different taste. My friends and I completely disagree on who is attractive. None of us have the same taste. There is no universal attractiveness, okay? We completely disagree. They show me pictures of the guys they like. I'm like, you like him? And I show them guys I like, and they're like, you like him? So there is no universal attractiveness for all women. But in real life, there are people who do choose each other based on attractiveness. Like in speed dating tests or studies, they found that someone will select a second date, men and women both, based on who they find most attractive. However, that does not necessarily lead to a third date, because coupling up requires a lot more than attraction. It's like how well do we complement each other? How much do I like you? How do we get along? And your personality comes into it. And that's why I think the Tinder statistic is so flawed, because it reduces our human interaction and mating down to this one-dimensional thing of looks. And in real life, a guy who's a 7 can turn into a 10 when you get to know him. When they do studies in classrooms at the beginning of the semester and at the end, they also find that people's evaluation of how attractive someone is will change based on that person's personality and other factors. So the Tinder statistic has been misused by men in the manosphere who are so convinced that women don't like them that they believe it, because a guy who knows that he has value and who actually observes the world from a different set of eyes, not the blind, oh, women only like men who have looks and I don't have looks. You're wearing black glasses that have tainted your view. Other men don't even believe that, and they're out there meeting women and getting into relationships because 60% of men are married or cohabiting. And 60% of men are not attractive, 6 foot tall, and have 6 foot abs. So here, wake up. All of you guys who keep leaving comments, not that many, but some of you, that it's true that women only want looks and money. I just looked up a bunch of statistics. How many men are actually over 6 foot tall? 14% of men are over 6 foot tall. Half of men are 5'9" or above. Half of men are 5'9" and below. And these guys are in relationships. The guys under 5'9" are also in relationships. I've met some of them in my appointments, and they're married. So don't give me this bullshit about I can't get anyone because I'm not tall enough. That's bullshit. How many Americans earn over $100,000 a year? 8% of Americans earn over $100,000 a year, and they don't reach that until they're in their mid-30s. Okay? Now, and half of those people earning over $100,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck because they're probably living in an expensive city like New York City or Chicago or San Diego or any of the eastern or western coasts. So it's not, it isn't what it used to be. Now, the reason that people don't get married as much as they used to is women do prefer a man who's stable, who has a stable job. And that's harder for men to come by these days. We don't enough talk about the declining economic fortunes of the American male. And women often want that because if we plan to have children, we need to rely on one person in the household to have a steady job, because we're very helpless while the end of our pregnancy, while we're giving birth, and the first few years of a baby's life. So we really look for that stability, I think. But there are also a lot of men who want a woman who has a stable job. The number of American men who have a stable job, for every 100 women, the number of men who have a stable job was about 140 men in the 90s, and now it's 90 men. So there are fewer good prospects. But here, I have some more good news. Your expectations, okay? I want to say something about expectations. I'm going to link a video to Chris Williamson's podcast where he had Andrew Huberman on, and they were talking about this book the scientist wrote about expectations, which fucking blew my mind. I knew about the placebo effect, that a medication will work if you think it does, but this goes even deeper. When they did studies on people that had no gluten intolerance biologically, but everybody now thinks they're gluten intolerant. And you give someone who has biologically no gluten intolerance, and you tell them that you're giving them gluten, they will actually, but you're not. You give them a non-gluten food, you tell them it's gluten, and they start having symptoms of gluten sensitivity, like diarrhea and hives. In another study, they measured people's oxygen intake, or exhalation, VOC, and it was impacted by what they thought it would be genetically, not by what it actually was based on their exercise. And in another study, they gave people milkshakes, and they either told them it had sugar or no sugar. And even if it had no sugar, the people, insulin went up when they thought it had sugar. Their insulin levels went up because they thought the milkshake had sugar. Doesn't that fucking blow your mind? I'm going to link that. It's just a 10-minute video. You can watch it. The point being that our expectations, this is where I want you guys to get. These manospheres guys have negative expectations. Dark glasses. The world is dark and dreary. Women don't like them. The world is out to get them. Nothing goes their way. They're victims, okay? You're going to be a freaking victim, not just because you will come across negatively to people, but you're setting your whole physiology up in all kinds of ways to scream victim, useless, worthless. Whereas if you can believe, this is now me adding to this, if you believe that you're valuable, that people will like you, you will not only act in that way and be more likable and get in more social situations, you will also, in my opinion, generate all the hormones and physiology that keep you healthy and happy, because it's our mindset that creates our hormones. And I think insulin is considered a hormone. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a medical doctor, obviously. So all these guys coming on here and being victims in the comments, I'm going to start saying victim mentality. Because, like, you know, it's your mindset, and your mindset influences your whole physiology. How much insulin you make, how much oxygen you absorb, even whether you have diarrhea or not. It's just fascinating how our mind makes our body. And so, again, the actual fact of it is that people get into relationships if they want a relationship. And if you're an ugly guy, you need to pick an ugly girl. Like, I'm not a 10. Looks-wise, I have a popular just for fans. And looks-wise, my body is probably an 8 or 9. My face is maybe a 6 or 7. I would date a guy who is like a 7 and becomes a 10 in my eyes. But if I were like overweight or had like was like a depressed, anxious person, I would have to look for a guy who's overweight and anxious and depressed. I wouldn't be able to get a guy who's got his shit together. But I have my shit together. I would expect a guy who has his shit together. So people kind of pair up with equal attractiveness levels. Okay, now the other thing I wanted to say in this video is that people's expectations of dating and marriage have changed a lot because of social media. Because before, we would compare ourselves to the people in our neighborhood. Oh, her husband is better looking, her husband has a better job, you know. Now we've got the whole freaking world. And these women, I hear a lot of guys come on my channel and say these modern women are too much. They expect too much. They expect to be live the lifestyle of a celebrity who makes tens of millions of dollars a year. They expect to have expensive bags and this and that. They're not thinking about a relationship. They're thinking about material things, being on their phones, and all that being on the phones has disconnected people from relationships, from nature, and these women have totally missed the fact that only, again, 8% of men make over $100,000 a year. The number of men making $1 million a year is probably 1%. So unless you're in highly elite social circles, you're not going to get a guy like that anyway. But people's perceptions have been swayed by seeing what celebrities have, and then women thinking, I need to have that too. I think the celebrity worship is the worst thing. First of all, you don't get happy buying a bunch of freaking bags. Okay, like I get my happiness not from shopping, although I do like to buy pretty things. I get my happiness from like working out, getting good sleep, being a kind person, meditating, being with friends, challenging myself. It doesn't come from stuff. And a lot of people don't realize that. So they become really superficially oriented, but there are still women out there who value relationships, but a lot of guys don't know how to find them because they didn't have a male role model. There are so many men that were raised by single mothers, and that is the greatest disgrace. If there are any men watching this who have children, you have got to be a positive role model in the life of your child, because the problems that people have in their relationships stem from dysfunctional, absent parents. The most damaging thing to a child is a dysfunctional, absent adult. Not having a father figure, not having a loving father figure who gives good boundaries, not having a loving mother figure who gives good boundaries, and then they become adults who struggle in relationships and they're avoidant and they don't know how to behave and they think nobody loves them and they act out and they have all this stuff, and a lot of this stuff is really hard to treat in therapy because there are people who go to therapy and they still have like these deep lingering issues for a long time, and it comes from having poor attachment figures as children. And the number of people growing up without two parents in the home is just growing. So a lot of people don't even know how to behave, what to expect. And again, the declining economic fortunes of men, women out earning men. But the good news is that all of us have the power to change our mindset, to change our actions. So any person who's interested in a relationship is not going to just exclusively be online. I'm not even on online dating apps. I find that the majority of people on there are riffraff and just annoying, low quality individuals for the most part. And what's really important, I think, is for people to, as a society, to not be on our phones so much, to actually get out and do things like go to the library, get involved in a co-ed sport, go to a meetup group, go to church, go out to eat, talk to the people next to you. We cannot succumb to just interacting online because nothing really happens online. Like if you want a relationship, you want to meet a woman or you want to meet a man, you have to be able to talk to people. And I know a lot of people have social anxiety, but that's because it's an unused muscle. You can start using it. You can absolutely start talking to people. At the gym the other day, this gentleman who's like my age started talking to me. I've seen him a long time. He never talked to me before. He just used a little courage. And he said, hey, I noticed that your form is really good. You've been looking really strong lately. I said, well, yeah, thank you. I've been working with this new trainer here. He goes, your form is really good. I was watching you do the pull-ups. It's really good. Your back muscles are super strong. I'm like, really? Thank you. So he took that video of me, which I posted, and we started talking. He started telling me about some of the exercises he's doing, some things he's doing on his footwork and on his strength and which classes he's taking. So we had a nice discussion. There's nothing sexual. There's nothing romantic, but we had human interaction. And that's what we need to do more of. And human interactions is what I'm focusing on now. And that's why I'm sharing that with you guys, because I started becoming aware that I also was spending a lot of time on my phone. I actually went to the library the other day and I got some books. And I read this novel. It was so freaking good. And I haven't read a novel in years. I think I read one novel in 10 years because I mostly read nonfiction. So I also am doing walking the talk, talking the walk, walking the talk, getting out more, doing more things. For me, I've been I signed up for a bunch of meetup group activities just to try new things, get out of my comfort zone. I'm going to a place where there's some co-ed sports being played. Um, I mean, I'm never going to meet anybody just sitting here in my apartment, right? And I want to start meeting people. Maybe I want to date. I don't know. I just want to be able to talk to men in a way that's not just with my clients, because I work with a lot of men and I work with them around their sexual issues, actually. So that's really good, but those are my clients and I don't date my clients. So I want to be out with men that is not in a sexual way. And so I also have to challenge myself and get out of the house more. So it's like, okay, well, what activities do I like to do where there could be people of both sexes there? Like, if you're a guy, going to a cigar lounge isn't going to be where you meet women. If you're a guy, I will go to places where women are, like, okay, meetup groups is one, co-ed sports, the gym, taking a class, a church could be a place to meet people, the dog park. If you have a dog, start taking your dog to a dog park, or if you go for a walk, try going for a walk in a different place. The art museum, a restaurant, but you probably won't meet as many people there. I would look for like social groups, like what is the thing, like game night, or I don't even really know. I'm just, also trying to find things that I like to do. Yoga, different kind of classes like that. Yeah. So don't come on here and tell me that, your life is all downhill because you're 5'9" and you don't have six-pack abs. And for one thing, I really recommend to everybody is to do some strength lifting, because it'll boost your confidence. It'll boost your confidence a lot. And guys, it wouldn't hurt to pay a little attention to your appearance. Like, is your beard nicely trimmed? Do you just look like do you look homeless? Like, are your clothes fitted properly? Do they fit? Is your beard trimmed, Is your belt at your waist? Is it hanging below? Like, are your shoes all scuffed up? Like, just take a little pride in your appearance, okay? Just get a new outfit. Go somewhere where they can help you out, like a Nordstrom or something, where they can help you out, and just get like a couple outfits. And you can just interchange them all, just so you feel good in your skin, and people will notice you more, and people do treat attractive people better. But I will say this, the downside, the reason I would not want to date a guy who's a 10 in looks is because their personalities are shit. They haven't had to work on it. There are always women clamoring at them. I like someone with a brain, with a heart, with something going on, who's interesting, who has a pleasant voice and all that. And so someone who's a 7, and through his personality, someone who's a 7 or 6 has had to work on their personality, and those guys are much better, I think. Also, some of the guys who are 10 suck in bed because it's all about them, and they can be very selfish too. So anyway, that wraps up my video. I hope get some of your comments on this, and I'm going to call this dating app lies. Oh, one more thing I want to say is that a lot of people are becoming disenchanted with the dating apps, and they're just saying it's a waste of time, because another interesting statistic they never tell you, I think something like 30% of the men on there are actually married. They're just on there for validation. Even when I was on there looking for a hookup, most of the people never even replied to me. They don't want to meet. They just want the validation, okay? And very few of those people who match up ever actually meet in real life. I saw another statistic. This one I want to leave you with. It takes, I think, 6 hours of spending online to get one coffee date. And you need like 10 coffee dates to end up with one second date. it's a low return on investment proposition, and it's been sold as everybody meets online. Well, I'm not going to discourage you if that's what you want. To me, it's just an annoying, low quality marketplace where people are peacocking based on their photos. And I want to see your energy. I want to see how you move. I want to see how happy you are. I don't want to just gonna go by a bunch of photos. I want to have a real interaction. That's why I'm getting out in real life. And that is my opinion on the best ways to meet people. It's like, let's remember what it's like to be human, because real people like each other based in real life. So unless you're a stud looking for hookups on Tinder, easy hookups, you're just wasting your time. And I think women are wasting their time too, because most of those guys on there have no game. They don't know how to talk. They don't know how to message. They're socially avoidant. The majority of men on those dating apps have social avoidance issues. They have a lack of relational skills. That's why they're on there, because in my work with men, I found that men with good relationship skills, regardless of their looks, are not online. Let me repeat, and I'm going on longer than time. Men with good relationship skills are not online. They're meeting women in real life, through work, through starting conversations, the gym, the library. I even know 3 couples, married, who met in bars, and one of them says she was so drunk she barely remembers him. You can meet people anywhere. You can meet them in a bar. You can meet them at the park, at the library. I even met one married couple who met at the library. You can meet people anywhere. So that's all I want to say about that. And again, it's your mindset. Remember, your expectations. If you expect that I'm a social person, people like me, I matter, you start telling yourself that, and people will treat you differently. It's not just about your genetic features. It's how you carry yourself. It's how you feel about yourself. It's how you take care of yourself. That's what really matters. Who you're being. Are you on your purpose? Are you dependable? Are you honest? Are you kind? Those are the things that really matter, that make people attracted to you, healthy people attracted to you. So those online dating stats are BS. And by the way, I have one more thing to say. If the dating apps consisted of audio clips where men had to write something and read it, something about themselves and read it, we would evaluate men on that. Then everyone would say, women are so superficial. They only like men with nice voices, or they only like men who know how to write things. We're just going to evaluate people based on what we're given. If all I'm given is looks, I have to evaluate you based on that. If all I'm given is an audio clip of you reading a personal essay, I can go by your ideas and your voice. If all I'm given is an audio clip of you singing, I'm going to go by that. Do I like this guy's voice? Will become super important. If all I'm given is a scent, a t-shirt, I'm going to choose you based on that. And then everyone's going to go, women are so superficial. They just choose men based on their scents. I'll tell you what the freaking problem is. The freaking problem is that the people on online dating apps are the problem. Because you put yourself in an arena where you're judged solely on your looks. You put yourself there. That's how I'm going to end my video. You put yourself in a marketplace where you're only submitting a photo. You're so avoidant, guys. You're so avoidant. A lot of you guys are good-looking guys. I've met guys that are good-looking guys with good jobs, and they're afraid of women. So you're avoidant. So you got to work on that stuff. And you put yourself in a marketplace where you can only submit a photo and writing. And if you don't know how to submit a photo, you don't know how to write, you won't do well. But you're choosing to go into a marketplace that's so superficial, where no one can really get to know you, because that feels safe to you. That's all the intimacy you can handle. And if that's all the intimacy you can handle, your results are going to be very poor. And that's how I'm going to finish my video. Again, your expectations, how much intimacy you can handle, and the marketplace where you expose yourself to women. If you go to an online marketplace that's superficial, based on just photographs and a catalog, you put yourself there. Put yourself in places where people can get to know you. And that's the part that scares you, and that's why you're single. Because you're afraid. I'm speaking to the men who are complaining because you're afraid of intimacy and connection because you haven't worked on your shit. And then you blame women for it. There are good women out there. And a lot of you guys don't know how to pick them because you go for the whores, you go for the superficial women, you go for the cheaters, you go for the women who just want your money because you don't even know what a real woman, kind woman is. So start making better friends. Get around women who are actually kind. Get around men who actually have good relationships. Learn to get comfortable with these women. A lot of you single guys need to get around men